Welcome to Subscription Prescription, the podcast where you get the information you need to scale your subscription program. Hello, and welcome to another dose of Subscription Prescription. I'm your host, Matthew Holman. This is the podcast where we try to help you understand everything related to e-commerce subscriptions. I'm really excited about today's guest. Before we dive into that, though, I want to take a moment to call out a really big problem that's happening within e-commerce, especially within subscriptions, and that are chargebacks. This is when customers either forget that they have a subscription or just for some reason decide this isn't right for me, and they give you a chargeback. The problem with chargebacks is that it's really difficult to manage. This is a problem. There's actually an entire process related to how you can challenge these and see that they're about to happen. It's very, very difficult to do this at scale without software. And that's where ChargeFlow comes in. They're a leader in this space. Up to this point, they've saved over $35 million in chargeback payments for their clients. And they're a sponsor of the show. They're actually also going to be a sponsor at SubSummit. They're a huge supporter of the subscription community. And that is why I'm really excited to have them as a sponsor today. Okay, now as we dive in, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine and who I view as one of the leaders in the subscription space, Chris George. He's the former co-founder of Gentleman's Box and is now one of the co-founders of SubSummit, the leading subscription conference in the industry, one that I'm really excited to get to, especially because it's going to be my 44th birthday this time. We're just going to be partying the whole time and learning about subscriptions. But Chris, thanks for coming on, man. I'd love for you to just start out telling us, everybody's going to go email and podcast a little bit about the subscription conference details, where it is, when it is, what's happening.
Yeah, quickly, SubSummit's right around the corner. It's actually just 3 weeks away. It's June 17th to the 19th in Dallas. It is the largest event for all direct-to-consumer subscription brands. And you've got everybody from YouTube to Spotify to HelloFresh, Ipsy, Wall Street Journal, Hearst Magazine, Mayavi. If you have any sort of subscription, membership, loyalty, subscribe and save, you should be at SubSummit.
Yeah, for me, it's a great place to reconnect with old friends, but a lot of those friends are actually ones that I made at SubSummit. I've run into some amazing founders, like Jay Myers is one of them, just running into a hallway from Bold and saying, "Oh, wow, hey, I follow you on Twitter. You follow you on Twitter," and being able to
didn't realize how tall he was, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so a couple of the things that I really love about the conference, aside from just obviously being able to learn and connect with people, is also being able to stay on top of new trends, tactics, all these types of things, and especially related to data. So what are some data things that you think you guys are going to be talking about or revealing at the conference this year that like the nature and scope of like what's happening in the subscription industry?
Well, the theme for the conference is frictionless, right? And so it's understanding how do you make the whole journey for the customer frictionless. And that becomes so important in so many different ways. A couple of things we want to touch on is like, are we looking at things like resubscribe rate? Right? Is that a metric that we're thinking about? And how important is that? How are we looking at like your social presence and understanding like how important that can be for your business, right? Everybody's attention's on social media. And, like one of the golden rules is, somebody has a good experience, they tell one person. They have a bad experience, they tell 10. And think about like with social media, how that's amplified now, right? Looking at things like how do we optimize for churn? How do we reduce churn? How do we reduce customer acquisition costs? And a lot of those things are basic things that we know as a subscription brand. But when you're coming to the conference, the idea there is to identify new solutions and solution providers that can help with that, as well as just talk to others within the space and say, hey, what are you doing for this? Or have you found some new acquisition channels that you're seeing really good success with? And then, of course, jumping into all the sessions. I mean, there's 3 full days of sessions from leaders all over the industry. They're going to talk about how they grew their business or how they're managing some of their email marketing strategy that increased their click-through rate. All of these things are so important, right? And that's why we put the conference together. We want to help brands build better businesses.
No, I love that. Okay, so diving into some of those topics, again, I know that like from your own experience running a subscription business and then obviously being in touch with so many different brands and experts in the space, like you have a huge pulse for like what's working and what brands are doing. I'd love to get your take on a topic that I'll lead by joking by, a lot of brands think that the place to start with optimizing or improving subscription is like throwing discounts at the problem, right? But ultimately, really what works best is understanding like what people are doing on the subscription and how you can reinforce like that post-purchase experience. So I'd love to get your thoughts on what brands can do to like how either improving retention, creating a frictionless experience, like you mentioned. Like what should brands be doing once that purchase is made?
Yeah. So you bring up a good point. One, we pulled some data that's showing that there's a 10% reduction in active subscribers. So I have the data here, but in 2023, 96% of US consumers had a subscription. It's down to 86%. And to me, that's almost like unbelievable. Like I kind of looked at the data point. I was like, huh? Like, why was there such a drop? Now that leads into like how important that post-purchase experience is, right? Because you don't want the consumer to churn, right?
Right.
And when you're thinking about the business, what becomes very, very important for these brands to understand is like, look, you might be in the health and beauty space, but you're competing for share of wallet. So you're not competing against all the other health and beauty brands. I mean, you are, but you're also competing with every other subscription that they have, whether that is a streaming service, whether that is a food subscription, whether that's a clothing subscription. But you might be in makeup, but you're competing for share of wallet. That means the consumers are looking at every dollar that they're spending. They're being savvy, and they're thinking about, well, what can I eliminate on my monthly bills? They're not saying, they're not just saying, I want this instead of this, right? And so we've got to be really strategic around how do we enhance the experience with the customer so that you're not at the top of that list. And the number one thing is you have to like, there's a lot of things that have to happen, but one really important thing is surveying the customers monthly. And Matt, I think we did a couple talks together where I consistently talk about this strategy, but it's not dead. And what's funny about that strategy is I did it 8 years ago for the Gentleman's Box, right?
Right.
And that was, it was still working today. You know what? You wouldn't believe how many people don't do this.
No, I know.
Right?
I see it in my clients all the time. That's not even it. They're worried about that touch point, which I'm going to ask you about in a little bit. So share the strategy because I love this one.
You send an email monthly, and the email is to get feedback from the customer. And the first question is like, tell me more about how did the service we provide, tell me more about the service that we provided or the product that you got. And there's three faces. There's a smiley face, the like math face, and there's the sad face, right? And so you're asking them how they're feeling about the product or service. If they click the smiley face, great. Send them to a pre-built social media post that's like, hey, share with your friends and family about your experience with our product. But if they hit the math face or the sad face, it's an immediate trigger to customer service. We want to get in front of the customer before they think about canceling. That's a must. And now you get to also ask them other qualifying questions, depending on the product. Like how much did you like this product or you didn't like this product? But no matter what, one of the best proactive retention tools is getting in front of the customer before they cancel. And one of the best ways to find out is if they're telling you they're not happy with their service, right? You don't want to like have them cancel and then you email them like, oh, well, I really didn't like this month's product or it showed up late. Now you got to win them back. Like, no, they're already subscribed.
Or even in the middle of the cancellation process, right?
Exactly.
The cancellation button.
Let's
can work, but you'd like to get that before that, right?
100%. And so that's a critical part about it. And then how are you thinking about the post-purchase experience? Did the customer just buy the product and you're done? And you're just letting them renew? Or are you consistently communicating with them?
Question about that though, because like, you know this, like there's a lot of brands that view communication as a danger zone because they feel like that sparks churn, right? Like, lots of brands are like, hey, if I turn off my emails for subscribers or whatever, my churn goes up at 5% average or 10% average per month. But when you look at like enterprise level subscription brands, like they're trying to talk to you like every step of the process, sending you tons of emails and push notifications and all those different ads and everything else. So like, what is your opinion on that from an engagement communication standpoint?
Right. My aggressive response is if you're too afraid to communicate with the customer regarding your product, you need to fix the product, right? So you're not giving you're basically saying that my revenue is more important than the customer. And I don't build businesses like that. It doesn't build for longevity. It doesn't build brand. So you have to be able to communicate with them with the confidence that I've got a really, really good product and I'm going to provide a really, really good experience. It's only going to pay huge dividends in the future. If you don't want to communicate with your customers because you're scared they're going to cancel, then you have to fix the product. That means that you're like betting on them renewing and potentially canceling later, which could result in you having to like give a refund or doing more chargebacks, right? And so I think if you're building a short-term business to make a few dollars, like, yeah, don't communicate with them. Eventually it's going to catch up with you. You want to build a long-standing brand and you just brought up the example why the biggest brands in the world are consistently communicating. They're not afraid. They're saying, we've got the best product offer.
What are some of the opportunities you think that come though? Like, I mean, I have my own ideas on it, but I'm curious to hear from you. Like, if I'm communicating more, it's not just to like check in, right? Like, what are some of the other opportunities that come for a brand that's not scared to talk to their subscribers?
I mean, for one, you get the upsell opportunity, right? So your product is shipping on this day. Do you want to add this to this month? I noticed you checked out this product also. Like, I'll throw it in for 20% off with your next shipment. Also, use that opportunity to get data, and that data is going to help you make better decisions, right? Them giving you feedback on the product allows you to make adjustments to it. Without that information, you can't continually make the product offering better. I also think it gives you the opportunity to build a relationship with the consumer and offer ancillary value that is low cost to you, but high value to them. Example, really just a off the wall example. I might have some nutritional fitness product, and I send this supplement monthly. Why not send them every month 5 exercises you can do from home? Like something like that, right? Now I'm just giving them value and they talk about it. Like, you don't sometimes know how far some of those things can go. And the consumer thinking, wow, like this customer cares about my health more than the product that they're sending me.
I love that because it like, and that phrase, you never know how far this will go. Like, okay, if I create some courses or some videos and I send them to people or like a workout guidebook, I might not see immediate, like, my retention on that cohort, like that month bump up or whatever, but over time potentially, or there might just be like, 10% of my subscribers that just love my content and are like become fanatics of the brand because they love that and they're telling all their friends about it. Like, I really, really like that kind of like attitude or like that perspective on that. I'm curious, like, what are other ways you think of like people, their ability to like personalize experiences or like develop a relationship within a subscription?
Yeah, so I think personalizing the experience sometimes comes a little bit pre-purchase, right? So you're getting qualifying questions from the consumer around what they're looking for and how you make that journey, make them feel special. But like examples might be like, let's say I had a pet subscription. Like, you have to ask a qualifying question outside of just like what type of breed the pet is, but like what's its name and when's its birthday? And then on its birthday, you send an email like happy birthday to your pet, or sending like a handwritten note on your pet's birthday. Like, again, that can go so far. It's one video that gets 2 million views because a customer posted it and says, Matt sent me this video from Matt's, pet subscription and said, happy birthday to my dog, right? Like, you just don't know. And customers feel that. Customers get attached to brands. We have a habit of like, there's no brand attachment to Amazon, right? Amazon is just a superstore that sells everything online and delivers it to you quickly.
You know what you're going to get. People trust.
You know what you're going to get
because they know it. Yeah.
There's no relationship. It's purely transactional, right?
Right.
If you look at like Apple, they built a brand. They're building relationships with their customers. The way they connect all their devices and the way they sort of built a brand presence. Microsoft and PC, like, they're transactional. They're still great businesses, but they took very, very different approaches on how they hit the market, right? When you have a relationship with the customer, one, you can essentially charge more because you built brand. Like, you never see an Apple product go on sale. Like, never. But you see a PC.
They're all expensive. They're all premium products. Yep.
They're all premium products. But a PC will go on sale regularly, right? Yeah. But a MacBook will never. And arguably, the PC is probably a better product. But, Apple built a relationship with the customer. They don't even, like, if you think about this, I haven't seen commercials in a while for a computer, but I bet HP's commercial would be like, whatever, megabytes of RAM, this many gigahertz, $4.99. Apple's commercial is going to have somebody running with their Apple Watch. And the price of the watch never even shows up on the screen. It's literally like the person running with their AirPods in, Apple Watch on, walking into the home. It's like a lifestyle. It's literally a lifestyle commercial that sells nothing directly, but sells the lifestyle.
What do you think about the gap though for because Apple and I think Tesla is another great example of that. People say Tesla's got this great marketing that's driven a lot by Elon. I'm curious, those are massive brands. What are some of those ways that you think smaller brands in the 10, 20, $50 million range that should be thinking about how they're building brand or experience or connecting because that's what we're talking about, relationships.
Yeah. I mean, look, this could even apply to the ones that are like a $500K to $1 million in revenue, right? I think it's like message from the founder. Is there a monthly email you send to them? If I'm building a brand and I want to build a relationship with my consumers, I've got somebody on my social media team that's scouring all over social media for anybody ever tagging us, hashtagging us, posting about us, and I'm commenting on every single one of those. Those are some of the boots on the ground strategies that you can sort of implement that help build awareness. Even to this other point, we'll just go back to pet products. Let's just say I'm a new pet subscription. I'm only $1 million a year in revenue. I will literally have a full-time employee that will search all over Instagram and TikTok and comment on every single person's pet. Love your dog. Oh my God, that dog looks so cute in that. It's just someone's going to see it. It's going to lead back to the brand. And it's showing you care. And not to mention, why not do it? And then imagine when it's you become big and now you're a $30-40 million business. Your social clout is on a different level. And it's just such a powerful tool now.
I love it when I even tag I'll write something on Twitter or something. And I didn't even tag them, and they come on and respond to it. I think I put something on Delta the other day, and Delta commented we were glad to have you on the flight. I'm seriously,
they replied.
A massive company,
and they're still doing it.
The other thing I was thinking about with that question was 2 years ago at SubSummit, one of the winners for best new subscription was that guinea pig box.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And so to me, I always thought of that brand. If you looked at their, was it last? Their community. If you look at their social, it's super high engagement. It's not it's very niche, right? It's a subscription box catering to people that own guinea pigs. But the branding was super fun, and anybody who has a guinea pig loves this brand because it gets them. It makes products for them and it's community for them. It makes them feel like they belong. They connect with other people, which I just loved. I thought that right there was a huge marketing message, letting other people connect, even if it's not always just with your brand, but letting people connect with other people like themselves.
Yeah, I mean, community has to be one of the number one drivers. Look at Peloton. It's almost like a cult, I joke, right? But they've got their own community, right? And it's oh, you're a Peloton rider? It's oh, you're an Apple user. The guinea pig box did the same thing. And it worked so well. FabFitFun, I don't know if this still happens. I'm sure it does. But their subscribers would have box opening parties. So the consumers would all get their box. And then they'd all go to one of their friend's house and they'd all open it together. What? Right? That's how you build community. They built that sort of environment, and so
I love that.
Other things too is you're communicating with the consumer regularly, even if it's the post-purchase confirmation email, it's the tracking email. Use that opportunity to give value or upsell.
Right. Yep.
And there's other ways, and again, it's enhancing the experience.
Yeah, that's something I love doing, like within like emails, like when we're doing a welcome series for subscriptions. Most brands lead with like an upsell or something like that as the first or second email instead of like trying to drive home value and give more value so
Mhm.
that the subscription has the perception of, and I think that as a practice has a direct effect on improving retention. I'm
Matt,
curious, like we're talking about you. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, as me and you are chatting, because me and you are very aligned on this, the
Yeah,
biggest thing that I think the entrepreneur has to get over is this: I need revenue now, right? Versus
yeah,
build for brand and future, right? Just like you said, your clients are trying to upsell on first email versus build relationship first, right?
right.
Just like in anything, in any business, if you have a relationship with somebody, you're more likely to convert that deal, right? Whether you're
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
B2B SaaS, whether you're a realtor, right? Right? Like you don't sell because you just showed them a house. You sell because you got to know them, you get to know their family, and you went and had
Yeah,
coffee with them, and now you're their trusted source for every purchase for the rest of their life.
right.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is somebody says, I don't use it anymore, but I just love it. It's a great company, great
Yeah.
product. I didn't need it and
Exactly.
I don't need it anymore. I'm curious, you mentioned earlier like something about resubscribe rates, and obviously something within subscriptions that comes up a lot is cancellation experience and stuff. I mean, I feel like this is a softball question, but I want you to take it and unpack it more. Like, do you
Yeah.
think like a positive cancellation experience is obviously going to lead to a higher likelihood that somebody's going to resubscribe versus something that's
Yeah.
really, really hard and never going to come
It's
back?
it's so funny when I got the prep sheet. My first question was, "Do we have any actual data on this?" And we didn't. And they went back and watched my keynote with Haroon from Truebill, and he didn't give the uh, data point. But what was concluded again was if you make it harder for them to cancel, they're less likely to resubscribe. If you make it
Right.
easier to cancel, they're more likely to subscribe. I don't think you should ever make it hard for somebody to cancel because, again, they're going to tell everybody. So it's like,
Right.
example, if I sign up for Netflix, I don't think makes it hard to cancel. I've never canceled Netflix, but let's just say they did. And then my friend says, "Oh man, should I sign up for Netflix?" No, man, they make it impossible to cancel. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah. Be
first thing
careful you
coming out of
want
my
it because
mouth.
otherwise, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think naturally it makes sense. You should make it just as easy to cancel as you made it for them to make the purchase. But during that time, it's absolutely 100% okay to find out why they're canceling and try to throw something to save them based on why they're
Right.
canceling. But then they still say no, okay, it's okay. Like maybe we'll see you soon. And then it makes it that much easier to get them back if in the future you try to win them back.
Yeah, the example I actually thought of the other day that was pretty funny was like thinking about dating, being single, and like, you're texting somebody like, hey, you've gone out a few times, but it's not going to work out. And when that person like just flies off the handle and is totally like irrational and like hates you for that, you're like, well, thanks. That just confirmed why I don't like you and why we shouldn't see each other again,
Yeah.
as opposed to you being nice or positive or making a shot at like, hey, give me one more shot. We'll go do something
Right,
fun or
right.
something
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
that.
Interesting. Right, right, right. Well,
Yeah.
let's say, yeah, for the dating scenes changed dramatically, right, over the more recent. I think that them just even saying that was probably a win because most people would have just like ghosted and never said a
Yeah,
word and
just
just
gets
stopped
ghosted. Yeah,
replying.
exactly.
But yeah, to your point, yeah. Well, I don't want to get too deep into that. I might say something stupid.
No, I know
But
it's a funny metaphor for me. No, it happened was a few years ago. Like a woman I was gone out a few times. She said, "Hey, I'm just not interested." Like she was very nice to not ghost
yeah,
me, and I said, "Oh, okay. Like, hey, I understand. Cool. I wish you the
yeah.
best of luck." Her response is what tripped me out. Was she said, "That's it,"
That's it.
and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said,
yeah,
"What do you mean?"
exactly.
She's like, "You're not gonna like lose your shit,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "No. Do
Well,
other people?" She's
I'd say
like, "Oh,
probably
you don't
two things
know.
happened
Tons of
there.
guys." Yeah, yeah,
The two things happened there. She
yeah.
wanted you to lose your shit, and you didn't. And then she was like, "Oh my god, he's like that. Okay, with just never seeing me again." That's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
human
yeah, of course.
psychology with the
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the,
yeah,
with the
okay.
dating.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and cancellation flows, I think, are really fascinating too, because I mean, I always, again, when you're really small, like I don't suggest spending too much time other than the information gathering, right? Like trying to find out why people are. And one of those things that always bugs me too is like people will ask like 50 different reasons instead of trying to nail down like your top few, 4 or 5, using that other reason. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if you saw this Recharge now, like they have an AI in there where they'll automatically pull insights out of your other responses and show it to you in the portal kind of dynamically, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I'm curious if there's any other cancellation tactics or things that you like, or even with win back tactics for getting somebody to come back.
I think, look, I think one of the most important things is using some sort of tool that will show you this segment of individuals is likely to cancel this month, so that you can do something about it then. So I've talked again about this for 5 years. And people don't do it. But if I know that this segment of consumers is likely to cancel after 8 months, on month 7, you have to offer them an annual subscription at a discount, or do something, extra item, send them a handwritten note, something. So you need to be hyper focused on who my consumer is, which type, when are they likely to cancel based on historical data, and is this segment of this ideal customer profile likely to stay on longer versus a different customer profile, right? For example, it's obvious that if you give a 50% discount off the first month, that group of individuals is likely to have a higher churn rate than if they didn't. Right. But what else about them? What was the demographic around this consumer, and how can I use that to my advantage? That's where I think that becomes even more important. How do I be proactive on the retention side? There's so many, listen, the win back it's the basic stuff. Like, how am I communicating with them? Do I give them a better offer? Do I give them a free item with purchase? How do we be smarter about getting in front of them before they cancel? Is like where I'm really heavily focused on thinking.
No, I agree. I like on the win back thing. I think you only have a couple, like, people aren't going to be opening a ton of emails after they've canceled from you. So you have to be careful. You have to be somewhat crafty in how you take your shot. But yeah, I think, like you said, improving, communicating, getting feedback, making offers at common drop-off points. I think anything you can do to increase adoption, improving unboxing, right? Like social shares, UGC, there's other stuff we've seen be really, really effective with brands to that improves retention.
One acquisition tactic that I've seen where some brands are having some success is with direct mail again. Yeah. And what they're doing is the direct mail service providers, which there'll be a few at SubSummit, they'll notice a customer that landed on the site but didn't convert, and then they'll be able to pull the individual's home address from a pixel and then send them a direct mail piece. It's almost like a retargeting. So using direct mail as retargeting ads to get the consumer to sign up. And I love that. And I think that everybody should be thinking about trying it. I don't think it's very expensive either. It's not. It's the SaaS. There's a if you have the right volume, it's still they're charging you 30. They're not charging you very much money to send a postcard. I like them. I think it's a great win back tactic because you can cut through all the noise within an email inbox if somebody's canceled. I actually really liked testing them with some brands on adoption, right? So that first order goes, you can actually get a card probably out faster than maybe the fulfillment or the box might ship. Yeah. And so you can create a little excitement, or post month 1 or month 2, making sure somebody seeing the full effects or seeing the benefits. I think, direct mail is, it's fantastic. What they're doing with it, but again, another ability to have a relationship or communicate with the customer. Yep, exactly.
Okay, so again, SubSummit's in a couple weeks. Anything else you want to tease about that? I think, again, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a lot of people. I think we're in the same places last year. Tell us a little bit more about some of the speakers and people that are coming back.
They gave me a good list here. One, we've got over 180. And to give give some sense for those listening, this started as a 200-person conference in 2016, and we lost 2 years because of COVID. So, in about 7 events, we're going to have over 2,000 attendees this year, 180 plus speakers from TikTok, from Pretty Litter, from Diaper, from Walmart, from MyAvi, from Whisker. If you check on the website at subsummit.com, you will see the speaker lineup. It is by far the most immaculate speaker lineup we've ever had. These are leaders within the space. And it doesn't matter what position you are or what status you are within your business in terms of growth. If you're enterprise, all the enterprise brands are there. If you're mid-level, the mid-level brands are there, and you're there to learn about how the enterprise brands get to enterprise. And if you're startup and growth, we've got a whole tracks for those that are in startup and growth.
Yep.
You want to know how to get to that first 500 subscribers and then get to 1,000 and then get to 5,000 to 10,000. But this is the only event that puts hundreds of direct-to-consumer subscription brands in one room at the same time. We all deal with acquisition. We all deal with retention. We all deal with customer experience. And we all want to know how to make those better. This is the only event dedicated to it, right? So you can go to other e-commerce events. They might have a track or two on subscription. You can go to a retail event. This is the only event dedicated to every element of the subscription journey. And the truth is, I don't know a lot of brands now that don't offer some sort of subscription. So like, if you don't have subscription,
t-shirt companies, right? True Classic's going to be there, right? Like they're a t-shirt company with a subscription.
If you don't have a subscription loyalty or membership, you need one. That means you should come there to learn how to build one. And if you have one, you want to come there because, man, we see it. Even we don't know. Like there's so much more to be learned within the space.
Yeah.
So many more strategies. And you know what? A lot of these companies, it's a very different build off your typical e-commerce. The most simple example of this is for the first 15 years of e-commerce sales, online sales, the number one thing you thought was, how do I get them through checkout as quick as possible? Drop them to a landing page, buy now. With subscriptions, it's very different. You want to get micro commitments. You got to learn about the customer. You want to build a relationship. You got to learn about who they are. And so it's a very different approach. Consumers cost more to acquire, but you're hoping to keep them on for multiple months, right? So, no, it's exciting. I'm glad you're going to be there. I can't wait. We're 3 weeks away.
Yeah, we're going to be recording this podcast live. I'm going to be interviewing Ryan Rouse. You're going to have that activity, that stage going like kind of nonstop. I think I'm really excited to see what you guys are rolling out this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be amazing.
A lot of fun. Okay. Any final other thoughts other than everybody come out to Dallas, go to subsummit.com.
Yeah, go to subsummit.com. If you're a brand, you've got a few days, probably a week. I don't know when this is airing, Matt, but you can still join the hosted next week. So they got until next Friday, but you can join the hosted meetings program where you get a free ticket and up to $750 in travel reimbursement. So check out the free ticket link. If you're a supplier, feel free to reach out to me or connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just Chris G certified on LinkedIn, but feel free to connect with me if you want to take meetings with brands and or want to get a ticket or get a booth. I've got a few booths left too. So
absolutely.
Yeah, excited.
Great. And again, another special shout out to our sponsor for this episode, ChargeFlow. They will have a booth there. They are transforming how a brand is able to manage chargebacks within their business and recover a lot of that revenue. Again, it's just one of those funny things. People like forget that they have a subscription or decide that they don't want it anymore. And instead of going through your cancellation process, they're going to do it through their credit card. And there's no reason that they should be able to do that. So that's why you should take a look at ChargeFlow.
Yep.
So again, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you, and I will see you in a few weeks, man.
Thanks, Matt. Talk to you soon.
That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when new episodes come out each week on Tuesdays.